Hello, everybody. Today, I am going to be talking about what I never thought in a million years I would ever talk about because it's stupid, which is the Oscars. I've only watched 2 minutes of the Oscars in my entire life combined, and it was only from watching this little fun act of violence that literally everyone on Facebook is talking about today. Now, I want to preface this. It's really important for me to preface this before I start actually talking about it. I don't give a shit about the Oscars. I don't give a shit about Hollywood. It's all staged. It's all fake. May as well talk about what is it? The worldwide wrestling thing. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm going to because it's a really, well, a lot of people, first of all, at least according to my news feed, have a very skewed, warped understanding of healthy masculinity. There's no masculinity demonstrated in that situation. Anyone who thinks so needs to join the academy. We'll teach you what healthy dominance looks like. We'll teach you, well, if you're a man, we'll teach you how to be a man. If you're a woman, we'll teach you what a healthy man looks like, so you know the kind of men to actually go for. There's so much that I could actually say about this. Like, pretty much everybody knows how emasculated Will was in the whole marriage and all that situation. So I'm not even going to go into that. I'm just going to talk about violence. Going up to somebody and hitting, like, this is all staged. It's all bullshit. I get that. So, but going up, let's just say it wasn't. Going up to somebody and hitting them without, without it being actual self-defense or defense, like actual defending physically your woman or some other woman or some other person. That's what children do. And that's what children do. That's what we teach children to stop doing, right? And the whole thing about, defending the honor of a woman or yourself or whatever, that's a really great justification. That's an ego justification, right? Because obviously, first of all, he wasn't even defending anyone's honor. When you are emotionally off center, you're not defending anything except your ego. Okay? Your ego is being defended. Now, the ego can use a justification of it being for your honor of your woman or whatever, so that you can feel better about being off center, right? And you can still feel like a man. That's just ego. A healthy dominant man can use words, if anything, right? You can use words. And, there's so few people that have actually been role modeled examples of healthy dominance, right? Now, I'm also not promoting, I think part of this too is women, because a lot of women have defended this as well. Probably women who have never had a man that has cared about them enough to step into that protector role and actually protect them and care about them and, protect their feelings as well as physically and everything, because so many men are so deeply emasculated, right? So that even an act of violence could actually appeal to a lot of those women, because it can, I don't know, pull at the heartstrings of like, oh wow, a man who actually steps up, we'll call it. It's such a joke. Such a joke. Healthy dominant men can remain emotionally centered at all times, or at least, as much as possible, right? And lead Okay, so if in this situation Will was going to do anything, he would lead. He would use words. Could even gone up and taken the microphone and said something, whatever. But he's using words in leading. And a big part of the problem in our society is men don't know how to lead, right? They don't have a level of competency to lead and to use words, right? They just have well, you got like the really deeply emasculated men who are, you know, they just suck it up and they're just doormats for a woman, and they're just like her slave, which Will is in a lot of ways with his woman. And then you've got men who can be quite aggressive, right? Here's the thing though, it's also often going to be with women. This is what I think a lot of people don't even realize. Men who get that emotionally off center by something, regardless of what the justification is, they're going to at certain times be that way with their woman as well, right? And you can think of like the worst examples of men who are like, oh, she made me do that, like she you know, like she just got me so angry, and like there's no responsibility, right? There's no emotional responsibility, and then he takes it out verbally or even physically on her, because a woman is going to be doing things in a relationship, especially a relationship where a man doesn't know how to lead, where she is, well, she's destroying the polarity, right? And she's doing things that are disrespectful to the man, you know, oftentimes, most of the time, unintentionally. I don't think it's usually on purpose. But then, and then you've got those men who don't know how to lead her out of it, right? By staying centered, staying fully emotionally centered, and leading a woman out of it in a healthy way, because a man doesn't have that level of competency to do that. He has no idea how. He never had those role models. His role models were, I don't know, probably people in Hollywood and the NFL, and just people who shouldn't be role models for anybody, right? And then of course they will, you know, when a man is feeling that disrespect, he will often take it out even on his woman, because he doesn't know how to stay emotionally centered, and he doesn't know how to competently lead. He doesn't know how to competently deal with the situation, right? Violent people are not emotionally centered, and they don't know how to competently deal with a situation, whether it's a situation with their woman or whether it's a situation in any aspect of life. Okay. That's a really big problem. It's a really, really big problem. And it all comes down to being able to lead effectively. If a man can't lead effectively, he's going to get unbelievably frustrated by situations in his relationship and outside of his relationship. And some of those men are going to end up being violent as well, because they don't know how to lead towards a better outcome, right? They don't know how to solve the problem. They don't have problem solving skills, and they don't have emotional regulation skills, because they spent all their school time learning about complex algebra equations, which have fuck all to do with anything, right? Because we're not actually learning anything useful in school or at home for the most part. So you get all these men who don't know how to solve any kind of problems. There's nothing healthy about that. It's just nothing. Like, I cannot believe that people justify things like this. They need the academy. They need the academy. If you're justifying anything like that, you need the academy. You know, it's like, I know I'm taking this a bit extreme. You know, I'm not saying this is the same thing, but I'm saying it's the similar kind of justifications is honor killings, right? Like killing a family member, whether it was an uncle who raped your, well, actually, I'm actually kind of okay with that. I'm not a man who rapes a woman, I'm not even I won't do a video about how that's wrong if someone kills them. I don't really care. But honor killings for, like, say you killed a woman, for example, right? It's just like this justification of honor. Like, oh, my honor's been at stake, or someone's honor's been at stake, so I'm just going to violently attack somebody else. Like, it's just messed up. It's just really messed up, especially because we have so much bigger problems to deal with in the world than this kind of nonsense. When is violence appropriate? It's appropriate when you're actually physically defending yourself or someone else that's innocent, right? I've been in one fight my entire life, and it was because someone tried to punch me in the face, and I stopped them, and I had to beat them up. And the only other time I was about to get in a fight was when I was about to defend a woman who was being beaten up by a man on the street. That's what the healthy masculine does. Not start fights when there wasn't any actual physical violence from the other end. Hey, you know what? If you want to start a duel with someone and go back to the 1700s, okay, at least you try to deal with a situation with words, and then if it can't get solved with words, hey, if both people want to consent to a duel, go do that. And then it's none of my business. I don't care if people duel. Beat each other up or shoot each other, as long as it's not coming out of nowhere. Imagine the amount of times that I would have to have gone to people's houses and slapped them for the amount of disrespect that I've received. Some of it about my wife as well. All of the comments. Should I go to all of those people's houses and slap them in the face? Come on. Let's get real here. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I wrote down a few notes. Yeah, and like the one other thing I wanted to say, like, so much of my focus is, like, I usually focus on women. We focus on both, obviously, in the academy, but I really like writing about women. And one of the things, and doing videos about women, one of the things that I really talk about a lot is women who get angry, right, at their man, and how, well, certainly physically being violent, but even just blaming, like verbal attacking, anything like that is such a sign, like a lack of emotional health. And it's not going to get good outcomes either, right? It's just going to get a man who loses all devotion, and doesn't want to take care of her anymore, right? When a woman does that, when she doesn't know how to communicate and be vulnerable, right? She can still be angry. There's nothing wrong with feelings for a man or a woman. It's okay to be angry. It's just about how you're dealing with that anger. That's the only problem. But I talk so much about how a woman needs to express that anger in a emotionally responsible way, where a man will actually be inspired to hold space for it, right? And I would always say there's no justification for a woman being physically violent with anybody, or verbally violent with anybody, except Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. That's okay. No, I'm not actually promoting that, but I wouldn't care if it happened. But for a man, right, somehow this is justified to be totally emotionally off center, totally reactive, and be physically violent, right? And healthy masculine men also need to learn how to regulate their emotions. It's just they're not going to be expressing vulnerably and saying, oh, I feel really angry right now. They're going to be learning to center themselves and leading to create better outcomes. That's it, right? Leading and creating better outcomes. For any men that are watching this, right? Most men, I get it, have not had healthy role models at all. Neither did I, by the way. I didn't have a violent father or anything, but uh, there's a lot that I didn't learn because I didn't know how to properly lead in a relationship that wasn't really role modeled to me. And it's been role modeled for almost nobody. And it's been role modeled to how to lead in the world for almost no man either. That's what we help you do in the academy. We role model how to lead in any situation, right? And you can apply it with women, right? And that's obviously the main reason that men want to join the academy, but it's also just as applicable for any situation, whether it's your boss or whether it's an employee or whether it's someone at the Oscars or whatever. You need these skills. You need to know how, like, imagine, I just want men to imagine this for a second, being so powerful in your dominance that you're able to stay emotionally centered at all times, no matter what your woman, no matter what the world throws at you. Imagine how powerful that is, right? Because when you're getting emotionally reactive, you can't effectively lead. You cannot effectively lead when you are emotionally reactive. All you can do is attack, whether that's physically or emotionally, verbally, whatever. But being able to just stay emotionally centered, and you're not going to be able to develop, this is what's interesting, you're not going to be able to develop that skill set unless you're also learning how to be competent in your leadership, right? Because otherwise, if you just work on being emotionally centered, but you have no idea how to lead, you're going to actually really weaken yourself. You're just going to be trying to accept everything and taking on all of this disrespect from the world and from a woman, from women, and that's not going to feel good. It requires both. You need to be able to be centered, and you need to be able to lead effectively. You need to have the communication skills to lead effectively, so that you don't have to use your fists, you don't have to yell, you don't have to manipulate, you don't have to talk about your feelings. You don't have to act like a child in any kind of way, right? You can lead. That's what every man needs. And it's what every woman needs from a man, right? So that a man can lead her, right? Lead a woman into further emotionally healing for herself, right? Because there's that safety where she knows she's not going to get attacked. She's not going to, she doesn't have to make herself smaller to avoid a man's emotional reactions, right? She can work on herself, work on becoming respectful and becoming emotionally responsible without it being out of fear, right? It's a completely different energy when a woman is shifting herself. That's actual real healing. Whereas if she's shifting herself to make herself small so that she can avoid a man's emotional reactivity, there's not going to be any healing in that. That's just going to be, she could do that for years and she's actually going in the wrong direction. And so that's also really important for women as well, right? Like, women, you need this kind of man that can give you this leadership, men who are fully emotionally centered, who are not getting reactive, who know how to actually lead effectively. And that includes, they know how to lead you effectively into healing, right? Into feminine communication, into emotional responsibility, into letting go of control, into opening up and receiving. And so for both men and women, if you want those skills, you want that role modeling, you want to see what it looks like, you want to practice it over and over again so that you fully understand it. You want to actually do this as much of this deep inner healing work and do it as rapidly as possible. I want you to send me a private message right now on Facebook and let me know what you're dealing with. And whether you're a man and you're working on leading better, or you're a woman and you're not able to inspire a man to be that amazing, centered, competent leader for you, you can learn how to do that if you take that next step. That starts with sending me a private message and letting me know what's going on so we can talk about it. Do it now. I want to hear from you.